Tugboat Dispatch, episode number 28. Sadly, both Josh and Sara are this week for Thanksgiving, but luckily, I am joined by our one and only Matt Skillings today. Matt, there is plenty to talk about today. The Patriots are the first team in the NFL with 10 wins, the only double-digit win team in the NFL. They pull out that ugly win against the Bengals. They lose some key players in that one injury: Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, Tonga as well. We'll get to all of that, but because we have you here, Skillings, our quote-unquote Bruins expert, we're going to dive into the Bruins today. Why have they been such a shockingly decent team so far this year? We'll get into. But most importantly, the Boston Red Sox just made an offseason move about an hour ago, trading for Sonny Gray, starting pitcher from the St. Louis Cardinals. They're going to end up using $21 million of his contract. The Cardinals will pay the other $20 million of his contract. They send out Dick Fitz and some other dude. It's their number 5 prospect. I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head. But Skillings, I don't like this move. I don't know about you.
Well, first of all, it's never a sad day when Sara and Josh are out, because that means you and I get to talk for an hour and I get to look at your face on this camera.
I love the positivity. They just bully me all day.
Yeah, right? No, so, look, you say you don't like the trade because you think it's the only move the Sox are going to make this offseason in terms of bulking up that starting rotation, and you might not be wrong. Like, I think there's been a track record enough from Craig Breslow and from this front office that they make one move and they think, you know what, the numbers say this thing. We have that depth in the back when you look at all the rookies and Connolly Early, Kyle Harrison, Peyton Tolley. I do still think Joe Ryan is absolutely on the table. Just look back at the trade deadline, how close, hopefully, they were to getting him at that time. Look, if Sonny Gray is the only move you make to add to your starting rotation, I don't forget about Cutter Crawford. That guy missed the entire season with who knows what was going on with him. But if you get him back, look, you got Crochet, Sonny Gray, Brian Bayo, Cutter Crawford, and then any of those 3 rookies to toss in the 5 spot. That's if you still, believe in Cutter Crawford. I don't know, but I don't think they're done with starting pitching. But if they are, it's not the worst thing in the world. It is an upgrade. It's an upgrade over Giolito, that's for sure.
And that's the thing. If it's more just, if this is the only move they make, I don't like it because of that. Because Craig Breslow comes out at the end of the their end of the season meeting or whatever, a press conference, and he's like, "We're gonna look at the roster, but we definitely want to find a legit number 2 to go after Crochet." Because if you look at the playoffs, that's what killed them. Bayo didn't have it in game 2. They go to the bullpen, they empty the bullets, and they don't have enough bullets to win that game against the Yankees. In game 3, you ran out the rookie and rookie v. rookie, and the other rookie just dominated you all game long. It's what ended the season, so obviously that's where you want to look to improve. I don't think this guy is better than Bayo is the issue, and I'm not going to pretend like I know who the hell Sonny Gray is, but you just look at his numbers over the past few years, just strictly reading a box score. He's got more strikeouts than innings pitched. He's going to be an inning eater at best. He's not, like you said, a Joe Ryan caliber guy. And that's what we need behind Crochet, is what we learned. We don't have that yet. We have a 3 and a 4, and if this guy becomes the 3 of the 4, and then you go, like you said, Crochet, Ryan, Bayo, this homeboy, and then Connolly Early, Cutter Crawford, maybe Tanner Houck comes back and is decent. Who knows what the hell's going on with him? I think he had Tommy John.
That guy's done.
Yeah, he was great before he became an all-star and just fell off the face of the earth after that one season. It was the same thing with Jaron Duran. That all-star class was just cursed for the Red Sox. But if this is the only move in isolation, it's just not what we were promised. And I don't have the faith in, not Craig Breslow, because I don't think it's really a Breslow decision, a John Henry decision where you have this much money. It's not going to be a top 10 salary cap. You're not going to have a top 10 salary in the league, but you have X amount of money to play with. Stay under this number or else we're going to have a problem. And because of that, now you're spending $21 million on essentially Lucas Giolito's replacement, who was at best your 3rd guy in the starting rotation. Okay, where's the rest of this money going to go now? We still have to I don't know where you sit on Alex Bregman, but if it's Bregman or Alonso, that's at least $30 million, maybe 40 right out of the gate right there. And then if we want to bring in Joe Ryan, that's another couple $30 million out of your pocket right there at minimum. So I just don't have the faith in this organization to go out there and honestly go on a spending spree where we get a good 3 or 4 guy, we get a good 2 guy, we build this super pen that they talked about building. And then you go in and get, okay, what was our problem at the plate? We were relying on Masataka Yoshida to hit the ball in the playoffs. That was our problem. Let's solve that problem. Okay, let's bring back Bregman. I'm not in love with that idea, but let's go get Pete Alonso as well. And then you have a solid first baseman because Tristan Casas, I think, is done as well. I want to talk about guys who are done. His entire leg is just in shambles. I don't know when he's going to be back or what type of player he's going to be because he started off slow. So it's just all in all, in a vacuum, this move isolated by itself, I don't like. If this is a sign of things to come, that they're going to go and get Joe Ryan, who I think is totally in play still, I'm okay with that because then you go, maybe it's Joe Ryan, this guy, Sonny Gray, and you get Alonso or Bregman, and that's your offseason. I can live with that offseason, Skillings.
I think when you talk about John Henry not being willing to spend money, I look back at the last year and a half where they've signed Rafaela, they've signed Anthony long term, they've signed a few other young guys long term. Christian Campbell. I look at that as they got lucky. Think about if Roman Anthony waited 2 more years, he would if he continues on the trajectory he's going, he would be in line for like Juan Soto, Aaron Judge money. Like they got lucky that he took that money. Look, if Christian Campbell pans out, they got lucky that he took that money. So I don't know. I don't have faith that that money's going to get spent in a fashion that sets them up to win this year. Like you have so much money left over from Rafi Devers. Like the only reason you got all those bums from San Francisco is because you got them to eat hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, so yeah, if Connolly Early, I think Connolly Early is the future of the Red Sox rotation in that number 2 spot. He has the pitchability of like a 35-year-old veteran. He knows exactly he knows where every pitch is going. He knows exactly why he's throwing a pitch and what the purpose of it. Every pitch has a purpose, unlike a lot of other guys. Like Peyton Tolley is just chucking 102 mile an hour.
He just throws gas.
Yeah.
He just wants to throw it down the gut.
If he can get a curveball, he's Garrett Crochet, but who knows?
He's not going to happen.
He could be one of those guys that sits in the bullpen forever, and I wouldn't hate it because he'd be a great 7th or 8th inning guy around Garrett Whitlock.
Setup guy as well. I mean, the guy before the setup guy would be a great role for Peyton Tolley this upcoming season to then not only just go out there and throw gas in the middle of a game, but also kind of work on developing anything besides a fastball would be amazing. And he's still so young, so he has that chance. But I like how you bring up Anthony Campbell, Meyer, Rafaela, these guys who took, quote unquote, a hometown discount. Team-friendly deals, because like you said, if Roman Anthony doesn't take the contract, he's looking like he was going to be one of the best players in baseball in a few short years. He was that good this upcoming season. And when he goes down, the whole offensive lineup just crawled to a halt. So you have him on a team-friendly deal for the next 7 years or something along those lines. It's one of those long-term, it's like 7 years, like $200 million contract. Something along those lines. Those aren't the actual numbers. It's close to that.
Yeah.
Where he's getting like
AAV. I think it's 8 and it starts next season. So
exactly.
8 years from
hasn't even kicked in yet. He's 21. It'll kick in when he's 22. You'll have him until he's 30 on a team-friendly deal, and then you'll have to pay on that massive contract. So while you have them on these team-friendly deals, that's when you go and spend on the supporting cast around them. You can go and overpay for a guy like Alex Bregman, who they overpaid for last year. You can go and overpay on a guy like Pete Alonso coming in at the back end of his career as well on short-term, high AAV, 3 years, $120 million type contracts, and go compete for a world championship, because that's the type of roster they have right now. If they just add 1 to 2 pieces and stay healthy, they have a world championship competing roster. They weren't that far behind the Blue Jays, who went all the way to the World Series and lost to the Dodgers in 7, and which was, I know we never got a chance to talk about the pod Skillings, but probably the greatest World Series we have ever got, like us at 22, probably the greatest World Series we've ever gotten to watch so far in our lifetime. It was
objectively, yeah. I mean, for
Red Sox fans, 2018 like, Dodgers is fun.
Looking at
just great. So you're that close. You lose to the Yankees, who then lose to the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays go all the way. So you're tasting the World Series. You're so close. Fenway was electric come playoff time. And if you're worried about money, John Henry, it literally prints money when the Red Sox are good.
Oh, yeah.
It makes no sense.
Think about how many shirts they sold to the stupid tremendously locked in or all these
Exactly. I
stupid.
mean,
Obviously, that's not making them that money. But yeah, the playoff revenue is it adds so much to that.
exactly. So just go out. I mean, I said it all. It sounded like a broken record. Just go out and buy. And I know they won't because there's a lockout coming up next year, most likely, and John Henry's kind of leading the way for a salary cap, which is the big thing. So it just it doesn't look like the math's going to add up. Where okay, he's leading the charge, but he's also one of the guys spending the most amount of money in baseball. It just that calculus doesn't seem to connect it well. So I think once again we'll just be yelling at clouds at some point in time that the Red Sox didn't buy enough. They had a crummy off season, and they're going to run it back with pretty much the same roster minus Giolito. Plug in this guy, and maybe it's Alonso over Bregman, which I wouldn't be heartbroken about because I think if you're paying $40 million for a glorified third base coach, you have a problem in in your in your salary cap and roster construction. Now, given he was decent, but he got hurt, and then it was, oh well, he fixed Roman Anthony's swing. Whoop-de-doo. Jason Varitek's not making nearly close to $40 million, and he's doing pretty much the same job. So that's how I feel about Alex Bregman coming back to the Sox. If you can't tell, Skillings, I am on
You
a
know,
Pete Alonso bandwagon.
you know who else just got paid to stay with the Sox, and he's basically a coach is Connor Wong. They got him for
uh,
that one year avoid arbitration deal.
well,
The
maybe
fact that
they
he
did the
just
same thing with
told,
Duran, right?
yeah, I mean basically, but the fact that they just told like Connor Wong just told Aroldis Chapman like, dude, if you like aim your fastball, you'll be like 10 times better, and then it worked. Like
And then
it's insane.
here's $8 million, Connor Wong, for doing nothing. I think he legitimately gets paid more millions. Like the first number is paid. I don't know what his actual number is, but I'm willing to bet it's more than RBIs he had this season because I think he had 7 RBIs.
Well, no, he got his deal is only like a 1.3 or something like that.
All right, so not even close. All right, but still, just that's an
But
overpay on
it's
Connor
still like
Wong.
honestly pretty close. Like
One
1.3
six numbers away.
compared to the 7 RBIs.
Speaking of guys who went to arbitration, before we switch over to the Patriots, I don't know what you said on Jaron Duran, but I am all on the ship him out of town as soon as possible because, again, the Red Sox are just in a circle at this point. Every single year we say the same thing. Spend money, surround your young talent with players, and they don't do that. And last year it was, there's a logjam in the outfield. How do we solve the logjam? Well, they did nothing, and injuries helped them solve the logjam. This year they actually have to do something because you have 4-5 guys who can play in the outfield in only 3 spots. You're not going to sit Anthony. Rafael is legitimately one of, if not the best center fielders in the major leagues. Who gets the 3rd spot? And you have guys like Jaron Duran, Willie Abreu, Christian Campbell maybe could fill that spot. So what should this Red Sox team do, Skillings, to solve the outfield issue? I want to get rid of Jaron Duran as soon as possible.
So I honestly think it kind of depends on if you get Pete Alonso. Like he very well could be and Kyle Schwarber too is another guy that I think is at least possible they look at. But if you get one of these guys who's the power hitting corner infielder, and maybe you keep Bregman, like somebody's got to be the DH. So at that point, it's where I would look at shipping Duran out of town because if you have that logjam in the outfield, you can DH Roman Anthony or you can DH Willie Abreu. Like you can't, right? Like, Duran is still, in my opinion, a plus outfielder despite his inconsistency out there. I think so, at least the speed wise, but you can disagree. That's all right.
What do you do? He's
No,
fast and gets
if they don't
triples.
sign
Too
one of
bad he
those big
drops the
bats,
ball in
like,
game 2 of the playoffs.
dude,
And then he's
I mean,
lollygagging his ass out there in third.
I was at that game. I watched that happen. That's a tough catch. Like he should have
Sagan's
had it.
getting that.
I know. Yeah.
And honestly, what bothered me more was in game 3 when he was walking to the ball in the outfield. That's what bothered me more. That's when I was like, he's got to go.
So I mean, I think trading him now makes the most sense it possibly can. Because if you keep him for another year, who knows if he's 2024 Jaron Duran or if he's this past year Jaron Duran. His trade value could go back up. It could also just tank, and he's never worth anything again. Like at this point, he's still there's still enough upside in theory on paper that you can get good players in return, like Joe Ryan, if you want to ship him to Minnesota or something. So yeah, I'm in favor of trading him.
All right, I love to hear it because Sarah's not, but Sarah's whole argument is he's pretty, and I go, that's great. He can go be pretty in Minnesota. You can watch him play in
We got
Minnesota.
Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer. We don't need any more pretty guys.
That's what I responded. The Italians are back in Boston. Play a bad.
We
Or
got
I was
Romy
gonna say,
Gonzalez.
yeah, Romy Gonzalez. Yeah, whoop de doo. But pivoting over to the team that's actually playing right now, Skillings, the New England Patriots. Ugly, ugly. I'm thinking of an ugly baseball player off the top of my head, but I can't because it was the opposite of a Roman Anthony win. It was not pretty whatsoever. It was an ugly win. They barely squeaked one out over the Cincinnati Bengals, and it wasn't the Bengals you all know about. It was the B squad. It was Joe Flacco, not Joe Burrow. It was the dude's name you can't even pronounce, like Andy Ilyasova, whatever the hell his name is, instead of Jamar Chase.
Andre
It was,
Giannis.
yeah, whatever that dude's name is right there. Good work, Skillings. You probably had to write that at some point in time, which is why you can say it. And T. Higgins goes out halfway through the game as well with an injury. So it was not the Cincinnati Bengals that have been to a Super Bowl and lost. It was really the remains of that team with a bunch of backups in because the starters are either injured or suspended for spitting on somebody, which is just the funniest way to miss a football game. The fact that you couldn't control yourself enough where you have to spit on a grown man to miss a football game and lose $500,000. Like, that is a $500,000 loogie that Jamar Chase chucked against Jalen Ramsey, which is just
Dude,
objectively
first of all,
hilarious.
what is this trend with spitting? Jalen Carter, Jamar Chase. I saw some guy in college. There's a quarterback in college who spit on somebody. Like, what is this trend? Like,
It's
dude,
just
punch
the
him if
most
you're mad.
disrespectful thing you could do. It's more disrespectful than spitting. And you can sneaky maybe get away from it, but Jamar Chase was caught, and it was as clear as day he was caught, and he tried to deny it, which is objectively hilarious. But what was not objectively
funniest thing is
hilarious,
the way he phrased it. He goes, "I never opened my mouth to that man."
clearly you did, bro, because you spit. And that wasn't like that was a good, decent size. That was like when your nose is stuffed up and you go like, and like get all the phlegm and stuff and just huck it out. That's how big that loogie was. No, I'm not making the noise. Nobody wants to listen to that one. Nice try. But what wasn't funny this weekend was the amount of Patriots players that were down with an injury in this game. I believe it was 4. I might have missed one. But the notables, Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, Tonga on the defensive line goes out, which I think was a sneaky big impact because Ramondre Stevenson and Trayvon Henderson both get stuffed at the 1-yard line, and they go for it on 4th down, and they don't get in. I think if Tonga's there, you bring in the big guy, and they get in for that one. And then you lose Brandon Schooler on special teams as well. Say him last because, again, great guy, great Patriot, but it's special teams. Yeah, it's not as important as the left. The entire left side of your offensive line, Drake May's blind side, is now gone. Despite it being an ugly win, a win's a win. I don't care how you get the win. I wanted May to go for 300, and I thought he was going to go stupid against the Bengals, but he looked like a mortal that game. It very well might have lost him the MVP against Matt Stafford, who balled it against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But any concerns about the way Drake May played, or you think he was just not going to be his day every day? Sometimes you have a bad game.
I mean, it kind of goes along with they seem to come out on defense every week and just let up a score. Like, that happens. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the messaging is where they just don't start well, but that hit Drake May for some reason. Like, that first drive, there was one pass that was supposed to be a check down to either the tight end coming across 2 yards up or the running back. And he put it halfway in between them at their feet. And I was like, what are we doing? That's not a trend where I'm like, he's in trouble. Like, if something's going wrong, I think he'll be fine. But Wilson and Campbell going out is incredibly concerning for me because the fill-ins are going to be Ben Brown and Vidarian Lowe, right? Like, those guys were
penalty.
there.
He is a walking penalty. He's terrible.
Those guys were there the entirety of last season when the Patriots had like maybe the worst offensive line I've ever seen in my life. And Drake May, like, even with an improved offensive line this year, he's been at fault for maybe like half the sacks he's taken. Like, his awareness when he's scrambling, because not when he's trying to get yards, but when he's moving around the pocket, it's that awareness is not great yet at this point of his career. And he's gonna get way more pressure now with Vidarian Lowe on the outside. Like, I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous for him in that pocket.
Yeah, and I think there are a few maybe sneaky good things about this that I do want to bring up. But I think that they lose 2 offensive linemen and it's on the same side. But at least you can kind of scheme away from the left side of the offensive line these upcoming games, where instead of a lot of play action boots where he's rolling out to the right. That way, he doesn't have to worry too much about the left side of the offensive line. Or you can bring in Austin Hooper and run a 2 tight end set and have Stevenson as your back in there to get him a little extra protection. So at least it's not all where it's okay, both guards are out, both tackles or the center's out, or something along those lines. It's just one side of your offensive line is significantly weaker than it was last week. So you can somewhat game plan around that in my mind, where it's okay. Ben Brown is serviceable. I don't have an issue with Ben Brown. It's Vidarian Lowe. The amount of times we heard last year, holding, false start, number, what is he wear, 70 something? Number whatever, number Vidarian Lowe. Five penalty that way against the Patriots. That's what worries me. And the only positive is he's played with them, so he knows how bad they are. Like deep down, he knows inside, oh, great, I'm running for my life this weekend. Not weekend, this Monday night against the Giants, who have a sneaky, they had the guy from the Panthers they traded for, Brian something, his name escapes me every single time. And then they have Thibodeau is there as well. So they have good pass rushers. So I imagine they're going to say, okay, their left side of the offensive line is the backups. Let's rush that side a lot, which will be great. But the only sneaky benefit, first of all, it looks like they're all going to be back before the postseason, which is the number one blessing right there. They're not going to be out long term. They'll be back by week whatever before the playoffs, which is what you need. You don't want to go into the playoffs first round without Will Campbell, who's been one of your better offensive. He's been solid on the blind side. He's been solid, and I think he's a really big, I don't want to say leader, but I think he's a trendsetter. And he is a mentality guy where he's just, I will die for my, in that thick country accent, I'll die for my quarterback, which you got to love. So I'm worried about that.
I'm going to be working on Amazon.
Exactly. Perfect. Much better than me. The other sneaky blessing in disguise. Let's say the Patriots, who I was anticipating with the rest of the season before they got injured, they end up going 13-4. I say they lose to they lose to the Bills and the Ravens. They end up 13-4, or maybe they lose 2 games before the end of the season. They end up 13-4. Now it's looking more likely that they end up 12-5, 11-6, and with that record, they might be more closer to the 3 seed, not the 2 seed, because you want to be the 1 or the 3 seed this year, because you don't want to be the 2 seed, because the 2 seed is going to end up playing most likely the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans. And those are both teams I would not want in the first round of the playoffs whatsoever. So if you lose a few more games now because you're missing Campbell, you missed Williams a few weeks, now you miss Wilson, you can potentially duck the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, Skillings.
Yeah, I really don't look at, if they finish 11-6, that would mean they go 1-4 to finish the season. That's not going to happen. I think you're kind of overrating the Jets, Dolphins, and Giants. Those are just,
one can hope, bro. Well, even then you win. Oh, damn, they win those 3 games. They're still 13-4. Maybe they fall for a trap game along those lines.
If the Ravens played anybody else in the NFL this past weekend, they'd lose that game. They played the Jets, so it's I think the thing to look at is Denver's still got Kansas City one more time, right? And they got the Chargers, they got the Jaguars. Denver's schedule to finish the season is insane. They got the Commanders and Raiders first, right? That's 2 wins. Then they got Green Bay, Jacksonville, Kansas City, the Chargers. They could easily go 1-3 in that stretch right there. And you have that game in hand against them. I think the Colts are overrated anyway. They have a sneaky tough schedule too. They got the Texans twice, who are on the come up right now. I think the number 1 seed is, I don't want to get ahead of myself and say it's a lock, because it's definitely not at this point, but I think it's more likely than not, just simply because the Pats are going to win 3 of these games, and you need the other 2 teams to win at least 3 of their last 6 games, which they have much, much harder schedules than the Pats do.
And that's fair. So while I don't disagree with you, it's just if they do stumble, and I'm not saying they will, it's if they do stumble here, they have a bad stretch of games. They've won 9 in a row. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. At some point in time, they're gonna have to lose a game. And it's
I want them to lose a game before
exactly,
the end of the regular.
You don't want them to go into the playoffs where they're on a 13-game winning streak, and it's they're due for one at some point in time. Especially just a game like the Bengals game where Drake May doesn't have it that day. They're just not, they don't have their best stuff that day. And that's going to happen at some point. And I'd rather that happen middle of December than late December in the middle of playoffs, early January, is the way I look at things like that. But I think my bigger point is You keep the 1 seed, great, because you avoid the Chiefs in the first round, and the goal is somebody else knocks them out before you have to. Because, yeah, the Chiefs aren't great this year, but I'm still terrified of the Kansas City Chiefs, Skillings, because, like I said last week, for everybody who tuned in, if Patrick Mahomes has the ball last few minutes of the game, they're down 1 score, I am literally shitting bricks because he is going to score. That's just what he does. In the playoffs, that's what he does. And I said last week, the only QBs who have beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs were Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, and I forgot to mention Jalen Hurts. And one of those guys will be in the playoffs this year. And he's out in the NFC. So somebody new has to beat him. And I don't want that to have to be Drake May. And his rookie year, his first year in the playoffs, whole new coaching staff, everything along those lines, all the new pieces. I don't want to have to be him right now. I am totally okay if they have a cupcake schedule to the Super Bowl. I could care less. They've had an easy schedule all season. Why stop now? Like, legitimately, why stop now? And I think the strength of schedule argument is as dumb as they come for arguments like the winning football game. You see bad teams lose all the time. The Bills lost to the Dolphins, for Christ's sake. Somebody beat the Titans have beaten 2 teams. Like, it happens all the time where you see bad teams squeak out a win they don't deserve. So if they want to find a way where they either stay at the 1 seed and hold on to that and get an easy couple rounds to the Super Bowl, or maybe they slip a little bit and then up the 3rd seed and they end up playing like the Jags or the Chargers in the first round, I'm totally okay with that as well. Just do whatever you have to avoid the Kansas City Chiefs if you're the New England Patriots, is my personal belief.
I think the thing that scares me right now is that when you think about the AFC, you think of the top 4 quarterbacks. You think of Pat Mahomes, you think of Lamar Jackson, you think of Joe Burrow, you think of Josh Allen. Burrow's dead. The Bengals are dead unless you think they're going to go on a 6-game winning streak. I don't think so. The problem is Baltimore's in that 4 seed right now with the AFC North division. Bills are in the 7 seed. The Chiefs are outside looking in, but if they get in, they're going to be the 6 or 7.
6-7. Thank God. Every time that happens, they all bully me. I'm a child. I say it all the time at work. Whenever it comes up at work, I'm just in the back in the studio by myself, just going 6-7, 6-7.
So I think there's a real possibility that all 3 of the wild card teams are better than all 4 of the division winners. Like, look at, I want to say the Patriots as a team are better than the Bills. I don't know that for sure right now, but they have Josh Allen. Like, anything can happen. That guy's a stud. I think the Broncos have overtaken the Chiefs, but it's still Patrick Mahomes. Like, we're not going to overlook that. The Colts, I think, are the most overrated team in the NFL. Sure, Jonathan Taylor is a stud, but got Indiana Jones back there. Who knows what he's going to do? And then the Texans, like, they could sneak in. Like, their defense is incredible. Chargers and Jaguars I'm not, like, super scared of, but there's a solid chance both 1 or 2 of them gets knocked out. So I think no matter where the Pats end up, like, they're going to win the AFC East. At this point, so they're going to be one of those top 3 seeds. I think you're still facing you're going to be facing a premier quarterback in the first round, more than likely, because you're going to get Mahomes, you're going to get Allen, you might get Herbert, you could get lucky and get Trevor Lawrence or CJ Stroud, but within the first 2 rounds, you're going to have to face a marquee quarterback in the NFL, and that's all part of this rebuild. Like, it's going to have to happen at some point. Maybe it's not this year, maybe it's not next year, but you got to get to that point where you're already, on the stage facing these guys. It's got to happen sooner or later. So I think
if they could end up in,
they're going to be facing one of these guys this year.
Yeah, in the second round, they're going to have to at some point. No, it's never going to work out where those top 3 quarterbacks who could potentially make the playoffs, Jackson, Allen, Mahomes, it's not going to be where somebody can take them out for you. It's just not going to happen the way the standings look like they're going to end up. But if you could get a Justin Herbert or a Trevor Lawrence in the first round, get an easy playoff win at home under your belt, get everybody acclimated to the playoffs, because I don't know how much playoff experience this team has outside of Milton Williams, Carlton Davis, and then Stephon Diggs. Not a ton of playoff experience in this roster, especially from the very few holdovers and the young guys in their team. Gonzo has none. Drake May has none. Pop Douglas I don't think has any. Booty doesn't have any. And if they do, it's that 41-10 loss against the Bills 4 years ago with Mac Jones under center. So it's been a while. So if they can get an easy win at home, and then you go and take on a Josh Allen of the Bills, who I know you're not sold in them being defiled in the AFC, but I am, because if you look at that roster, it is legitimately all Josh Allen and all James Cook.
Yeah.
So they're very two-dimensional in that aspect. And then if you look at, you look at the Ravens. Lamar Jackson's injured. He's not the same player right now. You saw the last 2 weeks he's been back. He is still working through something, so he's not as dynamic as he used to be, where he's tucking the ball and running. A quarterback, a type of quarterback the Pats have struggled with this year, like they saw against Justin Fields, who ran all over them those first 2 drives. So then it's really which one of these guys do you, and then Patrick Mahomes, who isn't playing the best, but it comes down to which one of these teams are you, like, not quarterbacks, but teams around them, because they're all great quarterbacks. They're all MVPs. It's which of these teams has less around them, and the Chiefs have the most around them, in my opinion. And not only is Patrick Mahomes the best out of those 3 quarterbacks, he scares me the most. The Chiefs have the best defense between the Bills and the Ravens. The Ravens defense is on the up and up. They're getting healthy, which is great for them. But the Bills are just, I don't know who builds that roster right there. I want to say his name's Brandon Bean. Holy crap, did he do a terrible job? Because they have no wide receivers and no defense. And typically, if you look at the Chiefs, they have Rashi Rice, and that's pretty much in a wash, Travis Kelce. But at least they have a defense. They have Chris Jones down there, one of the best guys in the line in the NFL. So again, it's very far. I don't want to say very far away like I was going to. It's far away, but it's getting close enough where we have to look at it and say, ooh, we got to start thinking about playoffs. Who do we want to match up with? Who scares us? And for me, it goes right down the list. It goes Chiefs, probably Texans because of that defense, and then Ravens, Bills, because who knows? Maybe Josh Allen goes nuclear in the playoffs, and you don't know what he's going to bring come playoff time. But that's how I look at the AFC playoffs. And the crazy thing is, Skillings, we have not talked about the Broncos or the Colts, because like you, I think they're both very fraudulent. I think Bo Nix is such a game managing quarterback. I'm not a fan whatsoever. He is helped by that phenomenal defense they have out there in Denver. And yeah, if the game's close, he finds a way to win, which is a mark of a good quarterback. But at some point in time, you can't get all these rinky-dink wins by the skin of your teeth and not have it come back to bite you in the rear end like it could in the playoffs, which is how I see it going. And then the Colts, all you have to say is Daniel Jones. Do you really trust him under center in a playoff game? I wouldn't trust that guy to throw the ball 25 yards to an open receiver come playoffs in a loud stadium with something on the line. That's how much I do not trust Daniel Jones. I wouldn't trust him to run the ball 80 yards without tripping over his own 2 feet, because that's how little I trust Indiana Jones out there in Indiana. And you stop Jonathan Taylor, you stop that team. He is, realistically, if MVP was not just a QB award, he's the MVP of the league. And it's not a doubt.
What is that? Yeah. No, he would be the MVP 100%, but completely lost my train of thought. Matt Stafford, you see that game the other night? That guy's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I think Drake May has completely been lapped for MVP at this point. Not even passed, like lapped. Like he's not winning it.
Just so crazy that Stafford's going to win it in the twilight of his career. Never won one in his prime. Like, he's on the back nine of his career. He's going to win his first MVP, which is just insane.
Yeah, that Rams team is incredible. That's my pick out of the NFC if I had to pick right now. I also don't look at the NFC as being, insane. Like, I think the Eagles, look, they're like the Chiefs. They're kind of inevitable. Like, they just seem to have that clutch sheen when they get to the postseason. But if I look at the other teams in the NFC, like, I'm not scared of the Bears in the slightest. The Buccaneers have kind of fallen off a cliff in the last month. Lions are on the outside looking in. They almost lost to the Giants. The Packers are inconsistent. The 49ers have, who knows, playing on their line. Like, they've been so injured this season. Sam Darnold's leading the Seahawks. Like, I think the Rams are far and away the most complete team in the NFC, and they're an easy pick to get to the Super Bowl.
And the NFL as a whole is just bad this year. It's bad. It's bad. Like, the teams are really bad this year.
It's bad. I think that it's mediocre. I think it's so much. What, I just completely forget the word. Either way, I think there's a parity. There's so much parity in the NFL. Every team is like okay. Like in another season, I'd be like, yeah, this Patriots team, like, they look like a 7-5 team. They're pretty good. They're solid. I think every team is just like okay. There's not a lot of like there are the terrible teams, the Jets, the Titans, whatever. But like, you look at the AFC standings from like the Dolphins up at those 11 teams, everybody's decent. NFC, Vikings up, those 12 teams, everybody's decent. Besides, like, the Rams are studs. That's low-key the only team I would say is, like, legitimately, like, a world beater.
Yeah, because while the Eagles I believe they have a very similar record, if not the exact same record as the Rams. They play the ugliest football every single week. It's like the Patriots who last week went out and played an ugly game and got a win against the Bengals. The Eagles consistently go out there and play extremely ugly football and find a way to win for no unknown reason whatsoever. That game against Dallas this past weekend, they handed the game to the Cowboys. They're up like 21 to nothing, and the Cowboys come back. And in the final few minutes of the game, both teams from the ball like 6 times in a row. It's insane how bad of football the Eagles play. But again, good teams find a way to win in the NFL. And I think that's how you really have to separate your teams this year. Those top teams, like, yeah, the Rams, I would say the best team in the league. They are your quote unquote world beaters. Then you have your good teams win games. And that's your Eagles, your Patriots, your Broncos, your Colts, your Lions. And then it's just kind of everybody else. Like the Bears, I don't trust the Bears, like you said, at all. The Bills, I'm not afraid of. The Ravens, I'm not afraid of. So I think overall, if any year is there a year for the Patriots to kind of not sneak in, but to just play consistent football each week where they're going to go out there, they're going to play bad the first few drives, and then just play rock solid most of the game. And Drake May's going to play really good. This is the year that can take you far. Because with the way the NFL is this year, you want to call it mediocre, I call it bad. It's mid. Is what if we want to settle on mid. If we wanted to settle on that word, there is a wide open hole for the New England Patriots to sprint right through and grab some championship trophies this year. It really is. Everything is lined up perfectly for this Patriots team. I feel this year, where they get an easy schedule. Drake May and Mike Vrabel just click from a fundamental philosophy standpoint of how they want to play football and how they think about football from a mentality perspective. Same with Will Campbell. And then you catch a break where you don't have any major injuries until Milton Williams in week 10, I believe is when he went down. So and the Chiefs are bad, the Bills are bad, the Ravens are bad, the Bengals are bad. You have 4 teams that have 3 perennial MVP candidates every single year, and 1 guy who kind of sneaks in every other year when he's healthy. You just catch a break in every aspect of the season. Just why not us? Like, legitimately, that's what it comes down to is everything's fallen for you so far. Even the Bengals game. You dodged Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow by the skin of your teeth, who will both play this Thursday. It's just, why not you? Legitimately, why not you? Why can't you go far? You're playing consistent football. Why not you is how I feel about the Patriots. Like, why not us?
The thing that I don't know if I'm sure there's no actual correlation to this just being Boston teams that get this kind of narrative around them when they're good. Look back at when the Celtics won the NBA championship in 2024. Everybody's like, oh, they had the easiest path to the championship. Bruins make the Stanley Cup final in 2019. They obviously lose to the Blues, but it was like, oh, you only had to face Columbus in the second round, and Carolina you walk through because you swept them. No, these are just good teams. These are good, consistent teams that you know exactly what you're getting, and they come through in the biggest moments. That's why I try to stay away from the term that like the NFL is bad, the NHL is bad, the NBA is bad. No, I think they are all what they all are, and then you get these teams that are maybe they're not the flashiest team, maybe not the sexiest team, but they're consistent and they play to a very specific style. Missoula ball. The Bruins were this all-around kind of just strong team on all fronts. They had a great defense. They had consistent offense. They didn't have Connor McDavid. They had, a great goal scorer in David Pastrnak. But so that's why I go away from this term of like, I think this league is bad this year. No, I think you're seeing the Patriots kind of just come together in a year where you're getting a little bit lucky that there have been a lot of injuries around the league. The Bengals should be a lot better than they are. The Ravens should be a lot better than they are. So I wouldn't look at it as like, oh, this is a must-win season for them, like because everybody else is bad. I look at it as just like, no, this is season 1 of what is hopefully going to be a long run of great Patriots teams. But you're just seeing everything come together in the exact fashion that Mike Vrabel wanted it to come together. So if they do win, it's not, oh, the NFL is bad. It's No, you found consistency in a season where a lot of teams can't find consistency. There's still oodles of talent in the NFL. You're going to face great talent at some point in the playoffs, but if they come out and prepare the way they have been, could easily be their season. Who knows?
Absolutely. And consistency is just the perfect word for this team because even their faults are consistent. They consistently come out of the gate slow. They consistently can't run the ball well at all, especially in between the tackles. They're terrible at it. They consistently struggle in the red zone. Like everything about this team just oozes consistency and hard work and toughness. And honestly, what I think it will be called at some point, just Mike Vrabel football. They're going to go out, they play smart football. It's just reverse from what they were last year, where they weren't playing fundamentally sound football. They don't get penalized a ton either. They're just playing smart football, which honestly, you say it's just a down year for the NFL. I settle on that for me being a down year, just not talent wise, but just level of player on the NFL. That's just again the break the Pats needed, where they can just play consistent, fundamentally sound football and not need the most talent in the world to go out there and win. But I'm glad you brought up the Bruins, Skillings, and I'm so happy we have you here because the Celtics confuse me to a fundamental, like, to my soul this season. But I know what the answer is. The answer is that they're missing Jason Tatum, and they
Yeah.
lost three of their best, three key players to their roster last year. And Joe Mazzulla is refusing to change his philosophy or game plan or style at all around the team he has right now. I can't figure out this Boston Bruins team for the life of me. I went into the season and I thought they would be one of the worst teams in the league. And it looked like they were going to be that. But then they rip off, what was it, a 7-game win streak? And now all of a sudden they're third in the Atlantic Division. Skillings, what is going on with this Bruins team? Is it Jeremy Swayman playing up to his contract? Is it Marco Sturm being a good head coach and just getting the most out of his guys? Or is it Morgan Geekie being one of the hottest players in the National Hockey League? I just can't figure out this Bruins team for the life of me, Skillings.
So, hate to burst your bubble. They're going to get bad at some point this year.
Way to stay positive.
I don't want it to happen, right? Like, it's a fun team to watch right now. Like, I
They're
would say
never
they
out
have
of
a.
any game is the fun thing. Like,
No,
yeah,
they
they're
really
not
aren't.
great, but 2-0, 3-0, okay, they might make this a game.
So, here's the thing. Who are your three best players right now? It's Morgan Geekie, Nikita Zadorov for some reason,
Who I know
and
last
Jeremy
year
Swayman.
we were like, oh my god, he sucks.
So, here's the thing. I think Nikita Zadorov is a fundamentally bad hockey player. And I like him in the sense that he's just this massive dude who's going to punch you in the face if you get too close to his goalie. And I love that. I love him as like your bottom pair defenseman.
You're an enforcer. You need somebody to go out there and lay a hit and set the tone.
He's playing well because he has this sense of pride that he's stepping up for Charlie McAvoy, who's probably going to miss, I don't know, a month or two. They said he might be back for the Olympics, so that's in February. Who knows? Zadorov's going to fall off a cliff at some point. He's just, I tweeted it out earlier in the season. Every time the puck is on his stick, and he's done better with this lately, but there are stretches of time where literally every time you see him on the ice and the puck comes to him, he is going to make the wrong decision. He's going to accidentally turn the puck over. He's going to dump the puck in when he has somebody streaking up the other wing completely wide open. Like, I think he's a talented guy that just hasn't been able to figure it out in his career, and I think he's going to fall off a cliff again at some point. The same, unfortunately, I think goes for Morgan Geekie. Look, the guy's career high in points was like, I'm looking at it right now. Like, he had 33 goals last season. Before that, his career high was 17, which is
So
what he's at right now,
how
which is
many years has he
incredible.
played? Because again, I'm a Bruins casual. To me, this guy is super young. Is what he's supposed to be.
So he's 27. He is still pretty young. He came into the NHL in 2019. I think it's a guy who's super talented, who is, again, just catching fire at the right time. Like, I would love to say this team is going to be able to keep it up, but I just don't think the depth is there for that. Like, you're getting great play out of, I'm going to say his name wrong, Marat Hustudinov. I love him. But all these guys are
He's got like 3
at
game winners
best.
this season, right?
Yeah, he's been nails. But all these guys are at best like middle six outside of David Pastrnak. Like, I don't know. I think this team is going to hit a wall at some point, and I don't want it to happen. Like, maybe they keep playing well enough that they get enough of a lead in the standings that they can afford another 7-game losing streak like they had at the beginning of the season. But I think it falls off a cliff at some point. I think we're seeing the middle ground of Jeremy Swayman. He's never going to be as good as he was in that 2023 and 24 season with Linus Allmark. But he's never going to be as bad as he was last season. He's not that bad of a goalie. I just think he's a middling goalie in the NHL.
So I'm interested because you listed your top 3 players for the Bruins right now. And unless I'm losing my mind, you went in Geeky, Zadorov, Swayman. Where's Pastrnak on that list? What's going on with him then if you don't think he's playing all that well?
He's not. He's playing great. I'm just looking at the last 2 weeks of who's been stepping up. You're not seeing Pastrnak do what he's always done, which is be that guy who's going to score a goal like every game. The 60 goal scorer, David Pastrnak. He only has 11 goals at this point, which is still a good pace. He's going to get to 40 this year, but he's stepping up in a role that he's not used to, where he's really not playing with anybody else that is going to elevate his game. He has to elevate other guys' games, and he's becoming more of a playmaker, which I like to see, but I would rather it's him with the 17 goals than Morgan Geeky, because that would mean that he's being freed up to do what he does best, which is score goals. I think if you keep him in this playmaker kind of role, at some point it just doesn't work anymore, because Geeky is going to hit a cold streak. Whoever's centering that line, whether it's Hustadinov or Pavel Zacha or Elias Lindholm, these are all streaky players. These aren't your mainstays on a top NHL line. So I think Pasta's been great, but I don't think the scheme they're playing right now fits to his style of game over an 82 game pace, is what I would say.
So scheme coaching, you talk about Zadorov, he's playing better. Maybe he's just kind of figuring it out now in between the years. What have been your initial thoughts on Marco Sturm, the head coach of the Boston Bruins? Because when I see him, he has some, I don't want to say Gerard Mayo like press conferences, but he has some awkward press conference moments. But how do you feel about him as the coach of the Bruins so far through, what are they, 20 games into the season?
2023 maybe. I don't look at him as, those awkward press conference moments are simply, I think, because he is German.
An awkward guy.
No, I think his English is a second language. I think some of that just comes from that. So I look at it as he's kind of the perfect coach for this team, because, like I said, the scheme that they're playing isn't perfect for David Pasternak's strengths. I think it's perfect for this team. I think the only way they're going to win games is if they keep playing this. Nobody is the star. Nobody is kind of your go-to guy. It's this systematic trap style in the neutral zone to try and slow teams down, which really hasn't been working all that well lately. But what I look at with Marco Sturm is his formative coaching years came coaching the I think it was U18 in Germany. He's a great developer of talent. He's a great developer of young players just making their break into whatever the league is. Obviously now it's the NHL. And I think you're seeing a lot of that with like guys like Kustadinov, like Fraser Minton, who's been great. So I think he's a guy that is going to build this team to a point where, 4 years from now, when they have, James Higgins is here, all their prospects have kind of come up through the system. I think you're looking at a real great team because Sturm has kind of built them up to that level. And hopefully once those guys are all, ideally in the roles they're supposed to be, James Higgins is your top line center, some of your prospects fit into the roles that they're meant to be in. I think you see tailor-made game plans that are perfect for that team, which is what I think he's trying to build right now. And he's trying to build a system that's going to fit once these prospects are all here, because it is a rebuilding season, whether you believe that this team has what it takes to squeak into the playoffs and maybe win a round or two. So I think it's all about building towards the future.
So do you think they could sneak in as the 8s? Do you think they have the chance to sneak in?
Absolutely, yeah. They can, I mean, if Swayman keeps playing solid, and if, it's going to be a streaky team, no matter how you look at it, like, they're not going to be the team that you just saw on a 7-game winning streak for 82 games. Like it's not what this team is. I think they can sneak in with like 88 to 92 points. They do need to start some of these 1-goal games. They got to get to overtime and get some points. They haven't had an overtime loss yet. And there have been a handful of games where I'm like, oh, man, if you could have just not let them score in the last 2 minutes and gotten that extra point, like that's going to go a long way at the end of the season. I think it's possible they sneak in and I don't know, maybe they catch again in the NHL. Like Toronto's having a terrible season. Like there are teams that are going to be at the top of the conference that you didn't think were going to be great this year. Like Detroit has kind of caught fire. Trying to think of who else is at the top, but they could win around. I'm not saying this is a bad team like at its core, but it's not a world beating team. They're going to come back down to earth, but it's a fun team, and that's what you want in a rebuilding year. You want a team that's fun. I'm not overly concerned about them tanking to get a top pick because outside of the number one guy, Gavin McKenna, it's not the strongest draft class ever. Last year was much stronger, and you got Higgins at 7, which is a steal.
So is it really just, so it sounds like for the Bruins, it's really just enjoy the ride this season and enjoy it next season. And then maybe come 2 years from now, your prospects have panned out and you keep some of your veteran players on this roster. Am I correct? And that's kind of what you're assuming is going to happen with this Bruins team. And if so,
yeah, absolutely.
Who are the, Pasta is going to be a focal point. Who are these veterans that you're going to keep around for the next 2 or 3 years until the prospects start panning out and you can start competing again for hopefully 3 or 4 years to Stanley Cup?
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, they got Geeky's kind of locked up for a little bit. I'm not 100% sure on some of the contracts. I think Zach is here for a little while. There's a lot of replaceable guys in the bottom 6 right now. Tanner Jeannot's a frustrating one where it's like he started to play a little bit better, but what a terrible contract, like for 5 years. It's just, I look at it as like it's going to be a couple of years of these guys you've never heard of coming in, and maybe they play good, maybe they play well, and they all of a sudden like you want to keep this guy to be a bottom 6 forward for the future. Just looking at some of the prospects, like James Higgins is having an incredible year at BC. Dean Letourneau was their first round pick in 2024. He's already at like 11 points through 10 or so games at BC this year. He had 3 last year. Huge guy. He could eventually be like a decent second liner. I think if you look at the prospect system, the Providence Bruins, by the way, are like 10-2 right now. They're kind of smoking everybody. There are a lot of prospects that I think even by the end of the season, you're going to see a few guys up in the NHL that are going to make an impact in a couple of years. So,
all right. So it sounds promising enough for the Boston Bruins, who, in my opinion, are the furthest away from a championship out of all the Boston sports teams, which is crazy to think about because just if you would have asked me 9 months ago, they might have been right neck and neck with the New England Patriots, and the Patriots are probably the closest team to a championship among the 4 major Boston sports teams. If you look at it, between the Patriots and the Sox, it's really which one do you have more faith in? And well, again, we talked about it at the start of the show. I just don't have the faith in John Henry to buy into this team and spend the money to support this franchise, which is, again, fingertips are reaching for the World Series trophy. It's just, will they get the push from behind from John Henry to get that trophy? And I don't think so. The Celtics are all just, you want to talk about a rebuild again, rebuilding year for the Boston Celtics. You got to dump a bunch of money, kind of suck it up this season. Blessing in disguise, you don't have Tatum, because without Tatum, you'll have a higher draft pick. And when you have Tatum, every single year you want to be competing, because if you're not competing in the NBA with a top 3 player to go all the way, you have an issue. And that's what Tatum is. He is a top 3 player. I will die on that hill. Even when he comes back, he will still be a top 3 player in the NBA. So it's an interesting time to be a Boston sports fan. There's a lot of moving parts, but it feels very similar to what I imagine. I should have gotten old head Paul Christofiuli on for this. I imagine this is what it felt like in the early days of the Tom Brady Patriots, where the Patriots are on the up and up. The Red Sox had something. They needed to add a few more pieces. The Boston Celtics had Paul Pierce at that point in time, but they didn't have anything else around him, which is kind of similar to the Boston Bruins. You got Pasta and like a bunch of decent guys, and then the Bruins in those early 2000s were starting to build that championship roster for the 2010 chip, their last one, sadly. So I feel like we're eerily similar. I said it earlier, time is a flat circle for the Boston Red Sox, and hopefully time is a flat circle for Boston, and we go back to being the greatest sports city in the world where we're winning it's championship or bust. Almost every single year we have some sort of parade through downtown Boston on the duck boats, henceforth the duck boat dispatch, Skillings. It all ties in nicely together, bro. It's like poetry. It all rhymes.
Hey, I'm still salty you didn't invite me to the Pats parade back in 2019.
With
I've never been to a parade.
That's the only parade I've ever been to. Only one.
Really?
Yeah, I never went. I didn't go to the Celtics one because I was working that day. I haven't gotten into a. I didn't go to the Red Sox that year in 2018. I know Owen and my dad and I think Nate went. I don't know if he's ever been to a parade, but it was. I don't know if I'd ever go back to it. It was kind of a thing where you do it, especially because I'm a sober Sally. I don't drink or smoke. So it's one of those things where you're there and it's like, all right, I could be watching this on TV and not surrounded by all these drunk people who are really getting on my nerves. So I don't know how to go back to a parade, but it's definitely something I would recommend. Like, you have to experience. And now you, Mr. Belay for the party, Matt Skillings, you would love the parade.
Look, the parade's at like 11 in the morning. I'm not. I'll drink. I'm not this alcoholic.
Buddy, let's not act like you aren't going crazy. You didn't lose my twin brother 2 seconds into baloney 3 years ago.
All right, that was a crowd of 7,000 people in a.
This is a smaller space, but more people.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to go to a parade at some point. I honestly think I would rather be not drunk because I would love to see. I just want to be there
People
and
watch.
experience it. Like, that's
People
the kind
watch
of
is-
high you don't need any lubrication to enjoy that kind of moment. Pause. Holy.
I mean, look what yeah, great word right there. It really is a one of a kind experience, especially being in high school. I don't want to sound like I'm meeting athletes every other day now, but after kind of walking around Fenway and the bowels behind the scenes where the players are because of work, and some of the guys and being face to face with them in the locker room in the clubhouse, it's not that experience where you see the Patriots on the duck boats, and there's Gronk with his shirt off, and there's Brady holding the Lombardi, and there's Bill Belichick, who crazy story coming out of UNC that Jordan is trying to sue Pablo Torre, and that's like the last guy I think I'd ever want to sue in my entire life. That's like the boogeyman right now, bro. If you have dirt out there, skeletons in your closet, Pablo Torre will find it. I would not sue that guy, no matter what.
Pablo Torre actually came and talked to one of my journalism classes a couple of years ago at UMass. Great dude.
I just where the hell did he come from? Because all of a sudden, in my mind, his existence began at whatever age he is was when that Bill Belichick ring cam footage came out. Because that's how I learned about who Pablo Torre was. And ever since then,
been
he's just been
ESPN reporter for a while who just he needed that. He's like any athlete who like needs that one big break, and all of a sudden it's like this guy's got everything.
I don't know how he figured out the Airbnb owner and got the rig cam footage, but he is the boogeyman. He is like Batman when it comes to breaking scoops in the sports world. And I'm not talking like, ooh, so and so's going here. I'm talking like the Kawhi Leonard is being paid behind the scenes by the Clippers, or the type of stuff that you saw the FBI come out about with like Chauncey Billups. That's the level of stuff Pablo Torre's finding out. I wouldn't not go one-on-one with this guy when it comes to legal matters. He is gonna, especially Jordan, who's a Bridgewater cheerleader. Like, you are not gonna take down Pablo Torre, Jordan. I hate to break it to you. Now, don't come and sue me because I can't afford a lawyer that your lawyer can just, or Bill Belichick can afford a lawyer to just beat the crap out of my public defender. It's a wild end to an amazing legacy, and I really hope he comes back to the pros just because it'd be so funny to see Jordan walking the sidelines in the NFL. It would be hilarious.
Nobody's taking that risk anymore. Like he's proven the last 2 years in New England, and now it's a clown show in North Carolina. Nobody's taking that risk anymore. I wish they would, but they're not going to.
And I really wanted to get the wins record. Like, deep down, I want him to get the wins record is what it comes down for me. He's so close. And I know, like, me as a fan and who was, Thanksgiving season, so much to be thankful for. But in the sports world, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, they gave us the greatest 20-year run that we didn't even get to experience all of it because we weren't even born yet. We were born into this dynastic run, and we should be forever grateful for Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, anybody who was involved in that, in the tiniest process, from the ball boy all the way to Robert Kraft. So like a
The
part
guy
of me
who
just
deflated the balls.
allegedly deflated the footballs, the guy who allegedly held the camera and recorded other teams' practices. So we should be forever grateful for that. So a part of me wants him to get that because it'll mean something to me, and I don't know why, but I can only imagine how much it eats at Bill Belichick every single day that he is, I think it's 13 wins away from having the most
Sounds
wins
right.
as an NFL head coach of all time against a guy Don Shula, who he's not a fan of. It just must. I think he would take. I don't know how big on this Bill Belichick talk, but it's just so encapsulating. Like you have to talk about it because it's one of the biggest stories. I think he would take like I promise I will not be like Jordan will not be involved. It'll not be the Judge, Matt Patricia, Josh McDaniels fan club coming down here. It'll be my defensive mind, some young offensive hotshot coordinator to run the offense, and I'll just build the culture here. And we'll get the 13 wins. I'll get to the playoffs, and we'll part ways amicably, and I will retire.
He'll never do it because he's too vengeful. He loves his guys. He loves Jordan. It just is not going to happen at this point. There's too much spite in his blood.
And maybe the spike can bring it all the way around 180 where he's willing to accept it just to get what he wants. It's wild, and I think we didn't even touch on the wildest part, which is apparently Steve Belichick, his son's wife, went at Jordan for like 45 minutes in the locker room after the UNC game. So it's going from ugly to
She's probably
uglier.
older than Jordan by like 15 years.
It's just insane. It's insane. She's calling, bat-ass crazy. You're trying to take all his money. Bill, what are you doing? It's got to be an awkward Thanksgiving for the Belichicks at this point coming up. And I know that's not an original thought whatsoever. But instead of talking politics, the Thanksgiving table to sort of fight, they just go, so Bill, you gonna get rid of this Jordan chick? Or, hey, Jordan, what'd you do with that $2 million Bill Belichick gave you? Or, Jordan, how good are you at Adobe Photoshop? And it just lights a fuse. It just blows up the Bill Belichick Thanksgiving table. And that's their college kids starting a political fight at the Thanksgiving table. That's what they do. Like one of the young grandkids just throws out like, hey, Grandpa Bill, why does your girlfriend look so young? Bang, just blows everything up.
Hey, Jordan, how was that adult cheerleading competition? Did Bill enjoy it? Did Bill have a good time?
Hey, we're in an adult men's league basketball, so we get slacked every week. So I don't know if we can bully Jordan too much for that or poke fun at
Anybody who's
Jordan.
watching this podcast, if you have any basketball skills whatsoever, hit us up.
If you're above the height of 5'10", we need you. If you're older than 25, we need you. It's bad. Look, it is. We are terrible. Worst team in the league, hands down by far.
I hit a fadeaway 3 the other day.
I
hit a fadeaway 3. That's all I need.
I suck. I'm so bad at basketball, but I like to think I'm decent at podcasting and hosting sports talk shows. But that's gonna do it for Duckboat Dispatch, episode number 28. It's an odd episode. It's Thanksgiving week. Josh and Sara are on a holiday, so they couldn't join us. But luckily, we have in reserve at all times on call Matthew Skillings. He gave us some great Bruins insight. We had some great Red Sox talk. And as always, we got your New England Patriots talk. They head into week 13 against the New York Football Giants on Monday Night Football. Just walk out healthy. That's all I really care about at this point. Get the win. Don't fall the trap. Come out healthy. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube at the Duckboat Dispatch. Follow us on Instagram at the Duckboat Dispatch. TikTok at the Duckboat Dispatch. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Share with a friend. Sharing is caring. It goes a long way. Appreciate all of that. Like, comment, subscribe, the whole shebang. We'll be back next week in full force. Josh will be back because he's finally got his car situation under control. And Sarah will be back and we'll get a reaction to Monday Night Football, week 13 of the NFL season. Hopefully 11-2 for your New England Patriots and all other breaking Boston sports news.